So it's officially May, which means it is now Doctor Who month. In just 10 days' time, Season 1 will premiere on BBC iPlayer and Disney Plus, with a double bill of The Devil's Cord and Space Babies. And promotion has been ramping up. We've had the premiere in London for the new series last week. We've also, at the time of recording, on the day of recording, got a little premiere coming up in Cardiff as well, a screening of Space Babies. We've had various interviews, various magazines running features and covers on Doctor Who Season 1, having Ncuti Gatwa on the cover, Millie Gibson. So we had SFX magazine, I think, first of all, this month's issue, with a lovely Ncuti cover there, against a blue backdrop. We had Doctor Who magazine doing an issue with previews of the first 3 episodes, so Space Babies, The Devil's Cord, and Boom, with a Devil's Cord inspired cover based on one of the Beatles album covers, showing off the actors playing the Beatles for the first time, which, kind of caused some murmuring on the internet, shall we say. This week, the Radio Times is also running not 1, not 2, but 3 Doctor Who covers, 3 variants to choose from, showing the Doctor and Ruby in Space Babies, The Devil's Cord, and Rogue. And to quote the 15th Doctor himself, that is just the beginning. There is bound to be loads more in the coming days, the coming weeks as well. We have 7 weeks of this new season. And of course, on the channel, there'll be all the usual sort of preview videos before each episode with plenty of information and speculation. But before all that, today I thought I'd turn my attention to what is probably the most intriguing episode of the series, personally speaking, probably with the exception of the finale, but that's kind of quite a way off at the moment. In terms of the first few episodes and the ones that are going to be airing this month, 73 Yards, episode 4, is one that we know very, very little about, and the few bits that we do know are very intriguing indeed, and almost kind of prompt more questions than answers. I think it has got kind of lost in the mix a little bit in terms of all the other promotion that's been going on for, Space Babies and The Devil's Cord and Boom, and even the episodes that come after it as well. Like, I feel we know more about Rogue than this one. And I'm almost certain there is some stuff they are holding back here, some secrets and mysteries and things they're deliberately not telling us about. It kind of gives me similar vibes to World Blue Yonder, obviously from last year, from the 60th specials. I kind of feel like this is the equivalent Wild Blue Yonder's type episode for Season 1. So without further ado, let's talk about the things that we do know about 73 Yards, including 1 or 2 new details that have come to light in these recent interviews. So let's kick off with a quote from Russell T Davies himself from that bumper Doctor Who special edition of SFX magazine, which contains loads of interviews, with Russell, with Ncuti, Millie, with other kind of crew members as well. But Russell kind of runs through each episode and gives 1 or 2 little lines or paragraphs about each one, 1 or 2 hints and teasers. And for episode 4, 73 Yards, he says, 73 Yards, I would say, is the episode most unlike any episode of Doctor Who ever before, and unlike any other piece of television. The TARDIS lands on the Welsh coast, and then you're kind of stepping into Welsh folk horror, not a phrase I expected to be using. There are secrets, there's legend, there's rumours, there's mysteries. There's a huge mystery for Ruby to solve. We go to very unexpected places, and that's all I'm saying. So 1 or 2 things confirmed there, 1 or 2 new bits of info. So I think most notably, it kind of supposedly confirms this story will be set in Wales. So obviously all of Doctor Who is filmed in Wales, or at least partially filmed in Wales these days. That has been the case, ever since the revival in 2005. And in that very first series of 21st Century Doctor Who, Series 1 rather than Season 1, there were plenty of episodes where Cardiff was standing in for London or somewhere else entirely, but there are also episodes where Cardiff and Wales more broadly did actually appear as itself. So we had The Unquiet Dead, which was set in Victorian Cardiff, actually filmed just down the road in Swansea, but hey, close enough. And then most prominently we had Boomtown later in the series, episode 11 of Series 1, which was filmed and set in 21st Century Cardiff. And now for Season 1, Russell seems to be doing a similar thing, where at least one of the episodes is kind of based in Wales and kind of showcases Wales for what it is, rather than dressing up Wales as London or somewhere else. It kind of celebrates Wales and the fact that Doctor Who is a Welsh production, just as Boomtown did in 2005. Now, one of the things we do know about this episode from filming is it's going to contain a whole range of locations, probably more locations than any other episode, based from what we've seen so far. So we start off on the Welsh coast, like Russell says there, and a bit that we have seen actually in filming and also in the trailers as well, where the TARDIS is there on the coastline. That was filmed near Tenby, so we've got the Welsh coast kind of appearing as itself, as the Welsh coast. But we quickly seem to go to lots of other places as well. So there was some filming at a pub in Wales called the White Cross Inn, which had a sign put up outside of it which said, in Welsh, the dead wood, the translation for that in Welsh. I'm not going to try and say that because I can't do the Welsh voice, but there we go. That's quite interesting in itself, actually, kind of the idea of the dead wood and the tree that's shown there on the illustration, because in those shots from the filming at Tenby and from the trailer that we've seen with Ruby there, with this mysterious woman in the background, this mysterious figure, there does appear to be some sort of tree-like structure, with the branches kind of all blowing in one very specific direction. And I do wonder, with all this talk about Welsh folklore and Welsh horror, whether that tree is the key to everything that's going on here, whether it's like some kind of haunted tree or crooked tree, some tree with mythical powers, I don't know. I mean, it's worth saying as well that Russell did actually grow up in Wales. He is Welsh. He grew up near Swansea, I believe, as a child. And so I think probably it's a safe bet to say as well that a lot of this folklore stuff that he's talking about, this Welsh horror, Welsh folklore, will be stuff that he's grown up with and kind of had passed down to him through friends and family and stuff. And it's going to be stuff that's kind of quite personal to him, perhaps. This was actually one of the first episodes filmed for Season 1 alongside Episode 5, Dot and Bubble, and that was at a time when Ncuti Gatwa was still filming Sex Education. He was finishing up his role on that series. So a lot of the filming did just involve Millie Gibson as Ruby. It was either scenes that didn't feature the Doctor, or the schedules were kind of rearranged in such a way where all his material could be shot together, stuff like that. And that's prompted speculation that perhaps this episode in particular will be Dr. Lite, i.e. it will not feature the Doctor very much. We do know he's going to feature in some form because we have seen him on that cliff top by the TARDIS, in that kind of duffel coat and bubble hat combo. Yet another new costume for him. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is the case, if the Doctor kind of goes missing all of a sudden, very early on in the episode, and Ruby is left to sort of fend for herself and work things out to solve this mystery that Russell was talking about there in the interview, involving this mysterious figure who I presume is kind of haunting Ruby or haunting people in general, and that distance that she is standing away from Ruby, I presume, is 73 yards. Quite why that is, and quite, why that number, quite why, the unit of yards is being used as opposed to like meters or something, I have no idea. We have seen shots of Ruby alone, which would confirm this. So we've seen her in that pub, with a slice of toast and a glass of orange juice or something, which suggests she's like staying over there, like a B&B kind of type thing, where she's maybe staying over and investigating a local community, something like that. There's also a shot of her on that cliff top with this mysterious figure in the background. Now, interestingly, in both these shots, she's actually kind of twitching her ear. She's got her hand to her ear and she's kind of holding it there with her fingers. That could be nothing, but it does seem like kind of a weird coincidence that she's doing that exact same pose in both of those shots from different scenes. And of course, as well as all this, we have all the stuff involving Roderick William, this politician guy, and his party, Albion. That was all seen at filming. There was a press release kind of confirming that this character was going to be involved, played by Aneurin Barnard. We have Kate Stewart, I think, appearing as well in this episode. Of course, it now makes sense, why this politician character has a Welsh name, because, presumably all these scenes are going to be set, like, in Wales, in his local constituency. Perhaps that's where Ruby is staying for the duration of the episode. Perhaps she stays in Wales. Perhaps she either kind of has to go there to investigate, or just kind of finds herself there because that's where the TARDIS parked. And we've seen one or two shots of a slightly smarter looking Ruby in a pair of glasses, which, perhaps would suggest she's like undercover or something. One where she's holding a glass of champagne. One where she appears to be in the party office for the Albion party. Again, presumably undercover, to trying to work out what's going on with them. But like, how do they fit into this whole thing in terms of Welsh folk horror and Welsh folklore? How do those two things fit together? How does Unit come into this as well with Kate? It is just, at the moment, like a massive kind of puzzle box, and I've no idea how it fits together. Russell also recently said that the villain for episode 4 is possibly the strangest villain you'll ever see. You have to come and watch. Even in an interview like this, it's hard to describe. We also know that Dame Sian Phillips will be making her Doctor Who screen debut in this story in an undisclosed role. You know, again, how does she fit into this? I think she's like 90-something these days, so I don't expect her to have a massive role or to be massively involved. But nevertheless, it's going to be very interesting to see her and to find out, you know, what the link is there. And just to finish off, let's repeat one of the very first things we learned about episode 4 in an interview that Russell did over a year ago now, in March 2023. He said, "It's one of the greatest things I've ever made in my life." This is all just so incredibly intriguing and mysterious. Like I say, I've no idea how it all fits together. But what are your theories regarding episode 4 of season 1, 73 Yards? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more stuff like this as season 1 progresses. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.